Hey everyone, just wanted to give an intro to this podcast that I did with Cymbalic Cite and my friend Michael. Now, this podcast is about WWE and professional wrestling since we're all big wrestling fans and we wanted to do a podcast about professional wrestling. Now, since this is the first podcast being uploaded, we want to let you know that this will not be the first and only podcast and will not be just about wrestling. We will have other podcasts coming in the future, probably with other guests, about different things, video games, nerd stuff, all that good stuff. I don't know if we'll talk about anything controversial, but we should be talking about other stuff that should keep your entertainment sooner or later. Alright? But for now, enjoy this podcast about WWE Fastlane and whatnot. Hope you all have a good night. Okay, so we're here. We're going to be talking about WWE Fastlane and then also predictions for WrestleMania. At this point in time, the Fastlane card is not completely finished yet. I'm sure it'll probably be finished off by either this upcoming Raw or the SmackDown, because I think we're just 1 week away.
And we still haven't figured out what the pre-show is.
Pre-show doesn't matter, and we're probably not going to talk about the pre-show.
Do you know who's starting it off yet?
Huh?
Do we know who's starting it off yet?
What's that?
Like for the first match?
Probably not. Well, we don't know what the first match... We never really know what the first match is. We just know what the card is. Yeah. The only thing we know what is sure to be last is the main event.
That's usually the last one.
Okay, so, I guess we should do some personal introductions. I'm Wes, also known as Sketch Style.
Tim as Symbolic Cite.
Symbolic Cite?
Tim as Symbolic Cite. Tim as Symbolic Cite.
Okay. And we have, what's your name?
Michael.
Michael.
Our good buddy Michael. He doesn't really have an internet name, so he's Michael.
He's Michael as Michael.
Michael as himself.
You can call me the elegant African.
Yeah, sure.
We'll go with that.
Okay.
For the time being.
Alright, just so we know, you came up with that.
Yep.
Anyway. Okay, so we want to talk about Fastlane so far. I don't know if we'll really talk about any Raws, but we don't really have a dead set card. But as of now, we have an idea of what the card may be. So, we know what the main event is. We'll probably get to that later. What matches we do have set in place are the number one contenders match, the United States title match, and the Divas title match. So, we don't think there's going to be an Intercontinental title match because Dean, as currently Intercontinental Champion, he's going to be in the main event. So, we're just going to have to, I don't know. So, but anyway. So, let's take a look at some rumored matches. Bottom of the barrel here, Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. Is this a match we want to see as a pay-per-view?
Well, as Dolph Ziggler is my favorite wrestler in the company right now, I should comment first. And since I do like Kevin Owens, we've seen this before. We've seen this a few times, and Kevin Owens has been winning. I think the only time Dolph Ziggler has won was on this past Raw, which was on the when was this this past Monday? Was the 7th or 8th? I think it was the 7th. It was the 8th, and Dolph Ziggler won, and I was I was surprised, but at the same time, I was like, okay, whatever. Dolph Ziggler won, and because they were saying that they were reviving an old rivalry with Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens, and we already know that it's not an old rivalry. It's because they've been fighting for a while now, ever since Kevin Owens has kind of bumped up the card when he first started fighting John Cena, last year. So we've been kind of seeing this, and whoever I think is going to win, I think by a long shot it's probably going to be Kevin Owens. But at the same time, there is a strong chance that Dolph Ziggler will win because, well, he just might. I mean, seriously, I really can't justify how Dolph Ziggler would win, probably by a roll-up of death, or he just got a count out, or just somehow just got able to land a famouser and a zigzag. Something like that, but there is a strong chance, knowing how Kevin Owens is, he might just end it with a pop-up powerbomb, and then he's going to beat Ziggler. I mean, because anything is possible, and WWE will do some, curveballs of, how they'll end some things.
So. I don't think there will be a curveball with this match. I don't really think there's anything going for it. I expect Owens to just land a pop-up powerbomb, and that's that.
Yeah, but, I mean, usually when rivalries aren't starting up, in quotation marks, rivalry, they usually have, it usually goes in between when someone you think is going to dominate will win, but then, someone who's going to, who's kind of the lower one will win, one time, and then he'll either probably win or lose. Most of the time, I think he loses because, it's kind of just very predictable. And since how Kevin Owens is a stronger and a little more brutal, a little more brutal wrestler than Dolph Ziggler is. I just kind of see Kevin Owens as beating Dolph Ziggler.
It seems like a complete 180 to me that they're even having this match in the first place.
Well, they've been keeping the rivalry going on throughout Raw lately. It's just at this point, now there's no title, so it's just a straight up grudge match.
Yeah.
Because from what I've seen before, like they were having the whole rivalry they were doing between Dean and between Kevin Owens, and I've loved the matches they were having, especially the last man standing match we saw. And given what happened at the Royal Rumble with Kevin Owens eliminating AJ Styles, I thought they would have started a feud with him, but then they went and put him with Jericho. So, I mean, it's a surprise that they're doing this with him and Dolph again. I don't really know if it's something I want to see, but I guess I'm interested to see if they go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
It's just not where I thought they were going to go.
Well, again, it's just a standard grudge match. In my opinion, I think Owens gonna win because I think
More than likely.
Yeah, and it's mainly because like I think Ziggler right now is just kind of on a downhill slide. Because I think they're using him as an enhancement talent more so than just.
Well, he's been with the company for almost 10 years now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he started, way back when in OVW and eventually the Spirit Squad.
Well, he was in the Spirit Squad around, 2000.
That was 2006.
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah, because that was around DX's reformation after Shawn returned.
And then he left and then came back around 2008 as, "Hi, I'm Dolph Ziggler."
he did the "Hi, I'm Daisy" thing. It was just, "Hi, I'm Ziggler."
And then he meets Vince McMahon. That was funny when I looked that up. I saw that.
So, yeah, I think it's kind of dead set. We all think Owens will win this one. I mean, Ziggler could probably win with a DQ, but at this point, I don't expect this feud to continue. I expect a good, clean finish. I expect it from Owens because I think they're probably going to push him towards getting the Intercontinental title back. Because I'd love to see Owens versus Dean for the IC title at WrestleMania. Because to be honest, I think we need a good singles Intercontinental title match now. Because I feel like it's always been the Intercontinental title is either not cared about, done on the pre-show, or is some kind of open battle.
What was the last match we had for the Intercontinental Championship? Besides the ladder match that was at the WrestleMania.
You mean the last Intercontinental title?
Yeah, the last single.
Oh boy, I don't even know.
I think the last one we had was between Rey Mysterio and JBL
On WrestleMania?
Yeah, and I
think that was a little too far. Did they have an Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania 30?
I don't think they.
No, because it was a ladder match. I think I thought it was a ladder match.
No, that was 31.
Yeah, but I thought there was a ladder match because Money in the Bank used to be the beginning of
yeah, but I think the last
WrestleMania.
Money in the Bank match was
at WrestleMania was 29.
Yeah, I think it was 25. I think that was the last one.
Yeah, because then they started putting Money in the Bank in its own pay-per-view.
Yeah,
and then WrestleMania they were just like, okay, well, what are we going to do with the Intercontinental title? So I thought they just kind of just did it with, and they replaced the Money in the Bank and just put it with a Intercontinental title ladder match.
Because I know he versus Rey Mysterio and JBL. That was on 25th. That was the last time I saw the Intercontinental Championship with JBL.
That's an insult, though.
Yeah, it really was. The match didn't even last long. It was
I mean, I get that it was for storyline purposes to have JBL quit, but come on, man. I mean, the only thing more insulting than that was Daniel Bryan losing the world title in under a minute.
That was terrible.
Okay, so let's take a look at some other rumored matches. So, one match that is rumored would probably just be giving the Wyatt family a match, and they'll probably just go up the ragtag group of Kane and Show and Ryback, which I guess makes sense. The Wyatt family is so big with big guys. I mean, which is funny because Bray Wyatt himself is actually the shortest. Because Luke and Eric are tall, and then Braun Strowman's I think an inch or two under Big Show.
Yeah.
Which speaks volumes. So, and if they put the family over Kane, Show, and Ryback, I think it's pretty obvious who wins.
The Wyatts?
Yeah, I mean, if it's the Wyatt family versus Ryback, Show, and Kane, who do you think's gonna win?
Of course, the Wyatts.
Wyatts.
Yeah.
There's really even no point in discussing it because at this point, we think the Wyatts have a more important role for later in the day. Yeah. And we'll get to that at the end of the card. So, another match that is rumored, even though it just happened on the SmackDown before this, AJ Styles versus Chris Jericho.
Like I said before, I did not think that they were going to put Chris with AJ. I really thought they were going to do something with Kevin Owens, especially because they're both from an indie background. But I mean, I've liked the matches that they've had so far, and I think it's a pretty good matchup between the two.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how deep they're going to go with this feud.
I think it should probably, if they want to culminate, if they want to end the feud at Fastlane, I think it would be appropriate there. Because, like, I mean, this feud is going pretty good. I know SmackDown, no, it's taped. Technically, today is Thursday, so it's supposed to air later tonight. But we read spoilers. Well, I do.
I read spoilers when I don't.
I know AJ Styles and Jericho had a main event match tonight on SmackDown, and it was really good. So if they're gonna let the feud carry over to Fastlane and end it there, I think that's fine. But in my opinion, I think they need to go back, or they need to go to like starting feuds, like the way it seemed like they used to, where like to start a new feud, they would have someone like show up and end the match. Basically cause a DQ.
See, it was interesting because when they were rumored about AJ coming, like a lot of people thought like the whole Bullet Squad was going to come with AJ, and I thought the whole faction would debut together. But it's just been AJ so far. But wasn't it like rumored that more people from the Bullet Club were coming to WWE?
Well, who was all in the Bullet Club?
Well, you had several. You had Luke Gallows. You had the Young Bucks. You had. God, I'm trying to remember all.
Let's see. Wasn't Samoa Joe? No,
not Samoa Joe.
So you had AJ, Luke Gallows, Young Bucks. Wasn't Balor in the Bullet Club at one point?
I think at one point. Yeah, he was. Was.
I can't, because like the thing is, I don't watch indies. Like, I have nothing against the indies, but like I'm not good at keeping up with them. So like I had no idea who the Bullet Club was, and then like I saw Balor like doing stuff on social media about the Bullet Club, and then I saw things that he was probably in the Bullet Club. I'm like, wow, really? So if the full, I don't know if they've signed the Young Bucks though, have they?
I don't think they have yet.
I was gonna say, because I know the Young Bucks technically weren't eager to go to the WWE, but apparently WWE really wanted them. And so
I'm surprised because I thought WWE were staying away from TNA guys. In other indies.
Truth is, they're not. I don't know. I do remember that report saying that WWE was telling potential recruits if they wanted to be a WWE guy to stay away from ROH or TNA.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't really know how far that goes. I mean, at that point, like, well, then where else are people supposed to go? Because, like, you don't have an immediate chance with, WWE. I mean, like, if I could become a wrestler, I would probably just try to be with HOH.
HOH?
House of Hardcore.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, ECW Part 2. Or Son of ECW. I would love to be a part of that.
A lot of people are concerned about what they're going to do with AJ, considering where he's coming from now.
I'm hoping I'm hoping he doesn't have conflict with Creative, because I remember Kevin Owens. There were reports that Creative was kind of back and forth on him. One half really liked Kevin Owens and wanted him to be successful, and then there was another half that didn't like Kevin Owens because he didn't have the Hulk Hogan look. He's big, he's round, he looks out of shape, even though he's not. He basically just looks like an average Joe stepping into a wrestling ring.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because, like, if you look at vintage wrestling pictures, a lot of those guys were average Joes. Like, they weren't big, Hulk and muscular guys. It wasn't until Superstar Billy Graham came around that set the standard for, the wrestling look. So, I'm hoping AJ doesn't deal with that conflict. He at least deserves a world title run.
A lot feel like they're nervous about. I mean, in TNA, he was the man for there, and then when you went to Ring of Honor, and you had him in the Bullet Club, and they were dominant over all the championships, and now he's in WWE, and I guess a lot of people were like thinking that they were going to throw him into the world title story. I mean, I want them to. I just don't think it's the right time yet, especially with the storyline they're doing with Roman.
I don't think so either, especially because Roman really is getting a big push, and they're doing everything they can to put him over with fans. Now, I get that this is kind of like a situation with The Rock, but like I think the difference was that Roman has been the same. When The Rock changed, he changed. Rocky Maivia is a completely different character from The Rock, and right now I don't feel like Roman Reigns is really going to get any steam unless he suddenly changes and becomes like the Empire or something like that.
Roman Empire.
Well, that's what I was thinking about, because like when everybody left the Shield, like they kind of developed their characters more. Seth Rollins did, and so did Dean. But it seemed like he stick with the same outfit look. He stuck with the same music. There wasn't really that much different from him from being in the Shield and just being Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and I don't get that. It's like they want Roman Reigns to be the guy, but why didn't they like give him a makeover too. You know, Seth, even though Seth is interesting because he's still very Shield-like. When he went to the Authority, he became like the Authority's version of the Shield. I mean, his outfit looked like it was meant to look like a high-tech suit of armor. You know, then when Dean left the Shield, it was like a guy going back to the streets, and he became like a street fighter. So he wears the leather jacket and tank top and stuff. Yeah, a lot of us do. We all want Dean to be the guy, but no, Roman's got to be the guy. So we may or may not have a situation of Roman of The Rock and Stone Cold again. But like,
I'm just wondering where they're going because it's like they seem like they're trying so hard to like get him over, but it just doesn't seem like it's working because a lot of people don't really want to see Roman with the title, and for the people that do, they want to see him do something different. It's just...
Well, here's my problem. I think more people don't want to see Roman because they believe he stole Bryan's thunder, Daniel Bryan's thunder. And I think a lot of people are holding that Royal Rumble against him. You know, because like the thing is every time people complain about the Rumble, it's just the fact that Bryan entered with the intent to win, and then he got eliminated. And people are upset that he got eliminated so fast, and it's like, at the same time, I kind of put that on Bryan. I don't know if that was his decision or the company's decision, but I am upset that Bryan said that I'm going to come out and win the Royal Rumble when I think it was obvious they were going to put it on Roman. And people liked seeing Roman before Bryan pulled that. You know, when Roman came back from his hernia, he got a pop. You know, people loved Roman. I liked Roman. I knew people like that don't like Roman that liked him then. You know, I said I liked Roman. They were like, man, I like Roman Reigns. And then the Bryan thing happens. Next thing you know, he hates Roman Reigns. I'm like, people are so freaking, like, backwards on this. It's like, I love Daniel Bryan. I'm not saying anything against Daniel Bryan, but, you know, he did have the WrestleMania 30 story.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair that he should get, like, a do-over. Because if this was, like, John Cena, people would be upset if John Cena was getting the title again. It's like, I don't get it. So... You know, you don't like it when John Cena gets the title over and over and over again, but you don't mind it if it's Daniel Bryan. You know, and I'm not comparing Bryan to Cena in like personality or wrestling. They're two completely different guys. But like, I don't know. I just don't think it's fair that Roman gets all this crap and this such turn face of fans just because of Daniel Bryan.
I was upset that Daniel Bryan was eliminated so early in the Royal Rumble match last year. I mean, I didn't think he deserved a little bit longer. Maybe.
Because Daniel was so hot, like, at that time. Like, everybody loved Daniel Bryan. Like, he had the biggest pop. And
well, that's because he came back from, like, a long time, not a long time, but he was a few months out. And he was just like, I'm coming back. And we're just like, yay. And then he says he's coming back in the Royal Rumble. And then he's just eliminated. We all thought, like, he was probably going to get far. But nope, he was just eliminated. I don't remember who he was eliminated by.
I don't remember either. It may have been a Wyatt or something, but even I knew then when he said he was coming to the Rumble to win, I was like, I know he's not. Because like, Roman was expected to be back at least before the Rumble, which he was. I think he showed up like back in December.
Because he returned in TLC.
Yeah, he returned in TLC, and I was like, okay, so, you know, and then they really made Roman like prove himself. Like, Roman went through so much, and he was actually, like, he got a good match out of Big Show. Like, how many people do that?
Not a lot.
I mean, seriously, Roman getting a good match out of Big Show was showing his worth. And then, like, people were so upset at the Bryan thing, they had to do the Fastlane main event where Roman took on Daniel Bryan. So, like...
And I thought that had pretty good build-up because, I think it made Bryan... I don't know if it made Bryan snap, but he started grabbing chairs and started attacking Roman because they were making a storyline that Bryan wanted the head top, but we all knew that Roman was going to win. I mean, who else thought that Daniel Bryan was going to win that fast?
Apparently the IWC, because they all thought that Bryan was going to win. And that's why they got so upset that he lost. I'm like, why would you even expect that? I mean, it's so obvious at this point. WWE is pushing the mess out of Roman. They're expunging every moment of time on TV that they can get out of him. And then all of a sudden Daniel Bryan comes back and you think he's immediately getting the main event race?
It just seems to me like they want so badly for him to be the guy, but it's just... It seems like there's a lot of fault on their part, because it doesn't seem like it's really getting anywhere.
Well, the thing is because, like, they're not letting... I think because, number one, I don't think they know how to let Roman be Roman. Roman would be a lot better if he didn't talk much, because he's not a talker. And I'm fine with promo work, but, like, Roman could have a promo style. He just needs to be short, quick, to the point, and blunt. That's all he needs to be. He doesn't have to have these long, drawn-out promos. He doesn't have to say what in between every sentence. He doesn't have to say, if you smell what the Roman Empire is cooking.
He definitely does not need to say suffer and succotash, but whatever.
Well, yeah, it doesn't need to... Well, that's McMahon. Apparently, McMahon has regressed back to the 80s again. So
if it worked in the 80s, it'll work now.
So that's the thing. It's like, just need to... Just let Roman be himself, and no serious, like, long, drawn-out promos. I mean, leave that to, like, Dean and Seth. You know?
But Dean's character works so well with his personality.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. And I think the problem is because we don't have a WCW, they're not going to let Dean be the Stone Cold. Even though, like, he really is, like, the next Stone Cold for us.
He really is.
Because, like, I mean, he's not afraid to say what he wants to say. He's not afraid to be blunt. Not afraid to get nasty. Like, you know, the last Raw we watched, he was talking about, you know, Paul Heyman holding Brock's balls. And people on Twitter were saying, like, okay, let's hope Lesnar remembers this as a work and doesn't actually kill Dean.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, Dean could go really far if they could make him the main event. Because, like, Dean's been in the main event, but he wasn't the main event. It was all about the other guy. Like, he main evented with Seth, and, well, it was about Seth. And then Dean main evented with Roman, but it was about Roman. And it's like, so when are we going to get to where Dean is the main event? You know, Dean's the guy who goes out there and gets people all excited and does all the stuff. I mean, like, does he need to attack Vince McMahon on stage?
Or do you feel like it's going to come, like, when Roman turns on Dean?
Roman's never going to turn on Dean.
Because there's been speculation about that.
No, there isn't. If there's speculation about it, it's crap. Because Roman is Cena. There's a reason people call him Cena 2.0. Cena is never going to turn, and neither will Roman. They're going to keep him as face as they can because they want him to be the face of the franchise.
Dean would most likely just... I just think as Dean Ambrose would just realize that Roman's getting so popular and Dean Ambrose is not getting anything, he'd be pissed off at it.
Well, see, the thing is what's funny is Dean is more popular than Roman. But the company likes Roman more than Dean. And that's the biggest conflict we have, is the fact that the fans want this, but the company wants that. And it's like annoying. It's like, then how can we get fans to run the company? Because, like, I don't understand why the creative team is not, like, working for the fans. You're making product for the fans. And I hate that there's, like... I always feel like there's such a confliction between what wrestlers say about the product. Like, there are wrestlers that say that it's for the wrestlers, by the wrestlers, so the wrestlers get to make the rules. But then you have other wrestlers that say it's all about the fans. It's about entertaining the fans. It's because the fans are everything. And it's such a conflict. It's like, so, you know, it's like, is that just what happens to wrestlers? Is it like, so... Are the wrestlers that get popular by the company all about the company, and then the wrestlers that are popular with the fans all about the fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like it must be that kind of conflict. So I don't know, everything's a little crap, you know. At least give Brian, you know, respect for, you know, remembering that, like, it was the fans that got him there. Yeah. You know, it wasn't a corporate thing. I mean... Even CM Punk said it was ridiculous that WWE was not going to give Bryan a shot. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Because I think Bryan deserves more than, you know... Yeah, I mean, he had all that stuff that happened to him, like what was shown this past Monday, but I still think that he, you know, they should have given him more. Because, you know, I mean, like, well, there was those topics, you know, there was those things that were happening about how in shows that when there were signs about Daniel Bryan, you know, they were taken from them. I remember that. I was just like, what the heck? Why are they going to do that? I mean, I didn't think that they're going to give Bryan the Benoit treatment.
I don't know. But yeah. And this all branched from talking about AJ Styles and Jericho.
Amazing.
in the end, I think AJ Styles is going to win because Jericho is an enhancement talent now, and he takes more losses than wins because he knows what it means.
I'm just finally happy to see AJ Styles in the WWE.
Sure, a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Things went in TNA and how TNA is going now.
Well, I mean, there went through a point where I thought AJ was never going to be in WWE. Because it was like, you know, AJ became such a big star without him, I thought he was just going to be like Sting and just never go to WWE.
Yeah. But now that he's in, I just pray they use him well.
So, yeah. Let's see. Next rumored match on the card. apparently a tag team divas match. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch versus Naomi and Tamina, and
I remember
Let's
that.
talk about Sasha Banks.
I frankly don't care about this match. I care about Sasha and Becky, not so much Naomi and Tamina.
These are the two women I want to see hold the title very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
How you guys feel about how they've developed Charlotte's character with Flair?
I don't like Ric Flair. I don't like seeing Ric Flair every week. I can tell you that.
I don't mind.
I don't mind it so much. I think eventually they're going to need to kind of like move Flair out the way and just let her roll with it.
Well, that'll happen. But I saw this development as a long time coming. You know, Charlotte's the daughter of Flair. You know, dirtiest player in the game. You know what I'm saying? So she was basically born to be a heel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just. I expected Charlotte to become a heel. The thing that annoys me is I hate that Flair is like he's a face because of being a legend. And I hate that. It's like just because you're a legend shouldn't make you a face, you know?
Well, you can't really boo Flair for anything. I mean,
I sure can.
At least the fans don't.
I mean, I'll boo Flair. I mean, like the dude, man, he turned Foley into a heel once. In Charlotte, like Carolina, everyone's like praising Flair and booing Foley. I'm like, what you got against the Foley, man?
That was a weird moment.
Then I realized it was in Charlotte. Like, oh, I was like, that makes sense. Because I'm like, poor Foley. I love Foley. I'll cheer for Foley any day. But Flair, no, he's the dirtiest player in the game. His blading is notorious amongst every wrestling circle in the daggum world and probably known universe. You know, he's always won mostly through dirty tricks, and and his whole character has always been about being a high life living guy, who brags about his lifestyle. Expensive clothes, expensive girls, expensive cars, expensive rooms, expensive locations. Just the high rolling lifestyle, and he bragged about it. Because during the peak of his popularity, I think this was at the peak of his popularity. His biggest rival was Dusty Rhodes. And Dusty Rhodes was all about being, the common man. He was a big chunky dude. And he wore like denim clothes and t-shirts and, ratty hats. So he was all about being a common man. So I could boo Flair any day. So I was waiting for Charlotte to finally kind of follow in her father's footsteps. Like, I mean, she's fine and all as a face, but come on, she's a Flair. I just don't see Flair's as a face. It's like that with guys like Triple H.
Yeah.
Because even when Triple H was a face, he was still very heel-like. I mean, he was a biker for Pete's sake. And the main time I remember him being a face was against Undertaker of all people. I think Undertaker was heel. Either he was heel or Triple H. I can't even tell who was heel now that I think about it.
That was a weird matchup because like Undertaker wanted the match. We talking about the end of an era match?
No, wrong one. That had Shawn. I'm talking way back WrestleMania 17.
Oh, yeah. Triple H was a heel.
Yeah, because it was biker versus biker, and I think Triple H was basically like acting like he was going to take the mantle. So like, biker versus biker, but they both acted very heelish.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like how do you really tell? I mean, other guys like Roddy Piper, bless his soul, but I couldn't see Roddy Piper as a face. Roddy Piper runs his mouth too daggum. Like, even when he went, they did that the last Piper spit they did had Rusev and Lana, right?
Yeah.
And he was like a face because he was insulting Rusev and Lana, but he was still heel.
And he was backing up America.
Yeah, but he was still very heel-like. That's what gets me out of these naturally heel guys being faces. It doesn't work.
Some guys can just get heat naturally. I guess he's one of them.
Oh yeah, cheap heat, just like Mick Foley can always get a cheap pop.
Yeah, we gotta get back to topic.
Well, I mean, you wanted to talk about like the evolution of Charlotte, so that's what this led into.
Okay, I guess my question now is, given how the Divas division is now, do you feel that WWE is going to have a championship match for the Divas title at WrestleMania?
No.
More than likely not.
I want them to, because it feels like they're building towards either Becky or Sasha versus Charlotte for a Divas title. But I feel like they don't ever want to do a Divas title at WrestleMania. The last time they did, it was an open challenge. they had every single diva come out to wrestle for it, and in the end, it was AJ Lee making Alicia Fox tap, literally manipulating her hand to look like she was tapping on the mat. Like, Alicia Fox didn't even tap. So, you know, I mean, I would love to see a triple threat, like Charlotte versus Becky versus Sasha for the title.
I think the last good storyline I ever saw for a women's title was at WrestleMania 22, where Trish versus Mickie James. And they had such a great build-up for that rivalry, and it was even a good
Wasn't
match.
so was that when the Divas title was around?
That was when they were doing the women's championship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I say Mickie James, and I figured that was more like women's title.
Yeah.
Divas title hasn't really had a good storyline going into WrestleMania. They always want to put the girls in something, like all of them.
Yeah.
So it's like, wish we had a serious WrestleMania. Like, I mean, you look at the girls, and you looked at what they did in NXT. Like, they main evented an NXT Takeover. You know, even though it was a sequel. You know, Sasha Banks versus Bayley in the Iron Woman match. You know, that's good stuff. And it's like, that could be in the main roster, but they're not giving the women a good storyline to work with. Because, like, every time a storyline starts getting good, they throw a curveball, and now someone else is thrown into the mix. And it's like, could they keep things a bit more, like, you know, in line?
Do you feel like half of it is kind of because now that we just have the Divas title, it's not enough of...
The only reason I would say that is because I feel like they love putting women divas in tag matches. It's like, just make a friggin' Divas tag team division already.
I mean, like, they might as well.
I mean, they keep having all these tag matches. And it's like, well, how is this supposed to build towards the Divas title? It gets to the point where sometimes I don't even feel like the Divas title even matters.
It doesn't, really. I mean, seriously, it's just there. They don't do anything about it because, you know, it's just a race to see who can hold the title longest because AJ Lee held it, and then they just gave it to Nikki.
I literally was so pissed when they were doing that.
Yeah, they gave it to Nikki, and they just gave it to her because she deserved to have it for the longest. It's like, no, they should have given it to someone a little more, you know, worth the while.
Like, I wouldn't have cared if they gave it to Paige. If anybody, I would have loved if they gave it to Paige.
Yeah, yeah. But it's because she was a little more new, and they probably didn't want to give it to her.
That or Nikki got it because John Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I really hate to kind of take away from divas like that, but the truth is, Nikki is not the best. Where you can say that she's improved, that's fine. But she still isn't the great. Her character is stale. Her wrestling style is meh. Her finisher is awful. Not as bad as Naomi's, but it's still bad.
Considering they want to make her the face of the Divas division, I feel like... Do you feel like that's more because of John Cena than...
Probably. It's such an insult, though. And
because if anybody they would want to be the face, I would say Paige, but, I mean, she's kind of like the anti-version of what I think they would want, but I feel like that's why it works.
I feel like that's what it should be, because, like, a good amount of wrestling fans are nerds. So, you know, AJ Lee being the face of the Divas division worked out. Of course, you know, we talk about John Cena. I still feel like she probably left because of CM Punk. You know, I don't see any reason for her to leave. I mean, because they were it seemed like they were treating her just fine.
Yeah, and I love seeing her and Paige work together.
Yeah, I thought it was great, especially because, like, when they were doing the thing at WrestleMania, you know, people were giving them, like, mashed up tag names. Like, my favorite was Paige.
Paige.
Yeah, I loved Paige. That was my favorite name for them. But then AJ just left. She left a bit better than CM Punk did. Like, she just didn't abandon the company.
She gave a good farewell, more, you know.
Yeah.
CM Punk was just like, I hate all you guys, I'm leaving.
AJ was my favorite diva at the time, and now Paige is. So, we haven't seen much of her.
Who?
Paige?
Paige.
Because they're too busy pushing Charlotte.
And this is why I want a brand split so much.
I don't really think we need it. What I think we need to do is we need to, like...
Because I kind of like with the way it was, like, with the Women's Championship, you could focus on a storyline with that on Raw, and then you could still have something with the Divas Championship on SmackDown. At least it would give more space to work with something.
I guess it would be nice if they did do a brand split and they actually had, like, a Raw Divas Champ and a SmackDown Divas Champ. That would be fine, because to be honest, I feel like they don't know how to mix the talent properly. Because you have all these women that have been there a long time versus now all these new NXT up-and-comers who everyone wants to see. You know, Charlotte's the Divas Champion. Now we have Becky and Sasha taking the reins. And then, but when then we have all this older talent, like we have, like, you know, Natalia, Summer Rae, even though she doesn't matter, Alicia Fox, Brie Bella, probably Nikki Bella, because apparently she's probably going to return. Cameron, who went back to NXT, and she's trying to reinvent herself.
Oh, that's where she was. I thought she got released.
No,
she went back.
I think she wants to reinvent herself because I think even she knew that the whole girl bye thing was dumb. Because that was her whole
It was
thing.
dumb. From what I heard, that she was live streaming one time and was talking about the situation, was getting emotional because she even knew that she was going to have to do something because WWE isn't using her, and she was getting a little upset. So she went back to NXT.
But that's what I'm saying. It just feels like they're trying to push this thing with the Divas Championship, and the only way it seems like they could really use all of their divas if they either do a brand split where you have the Women's Championship back, you have the Divas Championship back, or even make a Divas Tag Team division. I don't know.
I don't want Trish to come back just all of a sudden, because it seems like they'll do that.
Trish Stratus.
Yeah, because it seems like they'll just bring back some old star, to fight against Divas. I'm just like, well, we've already seen them enough.
That happens in the men's side. I mean, especially WrestleMania. I mean, we're gonna have Triple H versus Roman Reigns in the main event most likely,
and no one wants to see that.
See, and the thing is, I think Triple H knows he doesn't need to be in the main event, or shouldn't be in the main event. But I think he sees it as kind of a necessity, as they just don't know how to push anybody else. I mean, they could be pushing Kevin Owens. They could have turned Dean heel. They could even make a Brock. I mean, people seem like they'd be okay with a Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns rematch.
I mean, he said himself he doesn't need to be world champion. He really doesn't.
Yeah, and then pulls the "I'd want to be champion." It's like, oh, for Pete's sake, it's like.
I think the only reason that people would want a Roman and Brock match because they probably want to see Brock lose.
That, or they want to see Roman get destroyed.
I'd rather just watch Brock lose because I don't like Brock.
Well,
he has such a following. It's like,
yeah, he has such a following, but he's gotten so stale to me. They give him such the big game attitude because he's the big dog in the park, but then he's so stale. Ever since SummerSlam against John Cena, I feel like that's been his whole stinking shtick. Is that he just suplex, F5, suplex, F5, end of match. And I'm like, really? He could do other things. There are other moves that he could be doing. Nope, it's just suplex city. With an F5 here and there. And it's he's gotten so stale to me.
Given our division now, do you think that adding a tag team division with Divas would be a smart idea? Or
yes. Only because they won't stop doing tag matches.
Because you got great divas like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks.
Yeah, but they're most likely getting pushed to the main side. It's I see groups you've got Summer Rae, Alicia Fox, Natalya, Brie Bella, Cameron. Who else is there? Is that all?
Is that all that's on our main roster right now?
I don't think that's technically all, but it might be.
Who? I'm trying to figure.
No, she's back down to Eva.
Well, Eva Marie's in NXT, but they're probably gonna bump her up because I think they really like her. Well,
Eva Marie has gotten a lot of heat. Do you guys feel like she's gotten better at all?
I haven't really seen her matches. I heard that she's doing good. I heard that she has improved, but I think people are still upset that, number one, when she came to WWE, it was to be a model, not to be a wrestler. Now all of a sudden she wants to be a wrestler, and it's well, why didn't you come to the company why didn't you come to the company for that in the first place? And then second, people are upset that she went her own route and trained with Brian Kendrick instead of using the Performance Center. I mean, I don't know. I would probably use the Performance Center unless there was someone who I actually needed to train with. But I don't know. Still, the Performance Center seemed like a better choice to me. But even then, seems like she's gotten better because she had that title match with Bayley. Apparently, some of the near falls were very close, and people were afraid that Bayley was going to lose her title. So I guess that's a good showing. I don't know if that's Eva or if it's more Bayley. It could be either or, but I don't know. But I don't know. It's just I wish the Divas division would get better. But the truth is, they just number one, they need better creative direction. The creative just needs to keep things on track.
It just seems like for the first time in years we finally have a really good setup with girls that can actually wrestle, and now you actually want to see a Divas match.
The problem is the story writing is so annoying because it goes by so quick. It feels like the creative writers are so ADD.
It's so inconsistent.
Like, they will drag out, like, creative will drag out men's feuds forever. Like, pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, they drag out these feuds. And then, but Divas division, it's like a feud goes on for, like, maybe a pay-per-view, and then a couple episodes of Raw, and the next thing you know, there's a new feud. You know? Like, because I thought the Becky Lynch thing was going to go on until WrestleMania. Then Sasha Banks came out of nowhere. And I'm all for Sasha Banks. I love Sasha Banks. I was just hoping that they would have more of a climax with Becky Lynch.
Especially given the promo that they were making with the storyline with PCB. And no, it just... I don't know, it just seemed like it was so rushed to have Sasha just come out immediately after that, and now have her in this... I don't know. This is why I want it. I want...
And I know I've said earlier that, like, I like when feuds get started with someone coming interrupting the match. I mean, I do get that, but I would have rather it have been on a pay-per-view for the title, you know, rather than it was just randomly on Raw, like, after a match. Yeah. You know, it's like, if this was a pay-per-view that with near falls and everything, and then if it was, like, Becky Lynch, like, at the very end, Charlotte pinned and then 1, 2, and then Sasha pulls Becky out of the ring and starts beating her up. I could see that, you know. So Becky gets like DQ'd or whatever, and then Sasha gets into the ring and starts beating up on Charlotte, pulls the bank statement, Ric Flair going crazy. I'd have been fine with that. That's the way I would have liked to have started up a new feud, but they just, I don't know. So Divas division just needs to be fixed. So yeah. So speaking of the Divas division, there is going to be a Divas title match at Fastlane, which is Charlotte versus Brie Bella.
I think that's kind of out of nowhere.
Exactly. Like, when I saw that this was going to be a match, I was very, very shocked. I thought they would have done something with Sasha Banks. And I started to think, like, from Monday, do you feel like they're going to do a storyline with Daniel retiring and put Brie Bella, like, in this mix to kind of do something with that?
I mean, I could see that making sense, but, like, you know, I would have preferred it to happen, like, after Fastlane. Like, after Fastlane, Charlotte retains or whatever, and then the next day on Raw, you know, Brie comes out and gives a speech about her husband, saying that she wants to be the best diva she can be, you know, for her husband and for the fans or whatever, does the yes chant and all that stuff, and then, you know, starts challenging Charlotte for the title. I mean, I'd be fine with that. I just don't want to keep... I would hate hearing her theme every week, but, like, you know...
I like her theme more than Nikki's theme.
Well, musically, why I don't mind Nikki's theme, because, like, you know, at least structurally the music is fine. Remote I don't like because of all the auto-tune. Yeah, there's just so much auto-tune.
I like Brie.
Oh, come on. I will say, yeah, the lyrics are stupid in Nikki's theme. I just...
You can live, but you can't.
Considering what their first theme was.
Wasn't that their first theme?
Feel My Body was their first theme. Which is ironic because they both contradict each other.
I know.
That's because
I'm going to have to look that up. So we've gotten into the established matches here. So, United States title, Kalisto versus Alberto Del Rio. Do we care?
I'm going to say this. Okay, so when they put the title on Kalisto, I figured that they wanted to, like, do something kind of how they did with Mysterio, make him, like, the top, like, Latin wrestler. But then they had Sin Cara come back, so what I'm wondering is, like, are they going to drop this and then just have them go back to being a tag team?
That's what I think.
And if that's the case, then it really seems like it's a waste.
It really does. In the end, it feels like it was a placeholder for Alberto Del Rio. You know... First off, I'm not a big Alberto Del Rio fan. I don't care what his talent is. I don't care how good he is at this. I've just never cared for him. He's never clicked with me. So, I don't really care. And at the same time, because of that, I don't really want to see him with the title again. I'm all for Kalisto. I think he's got a ton of potential and upside to be a guy like Mysterio. But now that Sin Cara's back and it feels like they might put him back in the tag team division, well, it just seems like they're going to put the title back on Del Rio.
I used to love Del Rio when he first debuted, when he had the car and the scarf and he used to cut promos. But at least then they gave him a personality. They let him be himself. But now he's with the League of Nations and they're so stale and the character seems so stale. And I don't like seeing him wrestle. I don't like seeing him, period. It's just, I wish they would either do something different with him or at least take the title off of him.
Or go back to, like, early Alberto Del Rio. Give him the car back.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I did like about Del Rio, it was seeing those cars, because I love cars.
I loved it when they, destroyed the car. Like, after a match.
When Edge destroyed the car. Yeah, I mean, that's fun, too. I mean, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I like when wrestlers do things that make them stand out. And that was different. It kind of reminded me what Eddie used to do with the Lowriders.
Yeah. So, like, with, the League of Nations is so boring. It's like, it feels like they were trying to be like the Nation of Domination, but, like, it failed so hard because Sheamus was the leader, and they're badly booking Sheamus. It's like, Sheamus could be entertaining. I thought he was great as a heel. I thought he was great. Everything he was saying made sense and was fine, but what felt was stale was the booking of his matches. I felt like, well, first off, he wasn't even really winning a whole lot of matches. And then, like, and I don't think he ever clicked with Roman. You'd think their styles would have been great, because you have Sheamus, who's kind of the brutal European style, and then Roman, who's the punch first, cut promos later type guy. So it's like, you'd think it would have mixed, but I guess the thing was, Roman's too much of a striker, whereas Sheamus is more of a grappler.
They seem like that one stable that, like, it doesn't even really seem like a stable.
Well, it's like, what would make the stable a lot better? I'll give you a couple of things that will make the stable better. Number 1, better booking. Number 2, Cesaro.
Well, he's out right now.
I know he's out, but, like, honestly, I would rather kick Alberto Del Rio to the curb, and I have nothing against Mexicans. I mean, I love Kalisto and Rey Mysterio. Has nothing against his nationality. I just think Alberto Del Rio is technically the weakest link.
He's boring. He is very, very boring.
And I would say Barrett would be the weakest link, but Barrett has a better personality than Alberto Del Rio, even though they're not really giving Barrett anything.
Is he still king? Like,
I don't know. I think he's still doing the King Barrett thing, even though, like, that, I feel like that ship has sailed. He just needs to go back to being Bad News Barrett. But, like, it gets me. Barrett is very entertaining. He does cuts good promos, and he can wrestle real well. I'm just thinking, I guess he pissed somebody off in the creative team. Because for some reason, he's not getting anything, but I guess he didn't piss them off enough to get himself fired. So, but, like, Alberto Del Rio is just, he's so boring.
He is.
And even his wrestling is kind of... I mean, Kalisto did pull a good match out of him. I give Kalisto credit there, but, like, Del Rio is boring, so it's like, I'd rather Del Rio get the boot, and then they bring Cesaro in. Because Cesaro is such a great talent. The fans love Cesaro. If the League of Nations had Cesaro, their credibility would go up, because people love Cesaro.
I remember when I first started watching wrestling, and it was SmackDown. My favorite wrestler used to be Rey Mysterio, because that was the most unique one out of them all, the way he wrestled with his mask. And I love that they were going to try and do that with Kalisto. I really just wish they would go that route and not just drop it to Alberto Del Rio. It just seems like it's a waste to build that up so much and to have him lose it again. It just seems pointless.
Yeah, so it's like... Honestly, I just think they're going to put the title back on Del Rio, but I don't really care. It will not surprise me, but in the end, I hope Kalisto, gets the title.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think Tim has really anything to say on that, because we've pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
Alright. So we can finally get to the meat of Fastlane, which is the triple threat for the number 1 contendership, which consists of Roman versus Dean versus Lesnar, and this is probably one of the easiest to talk about, because I think we all share the same sentiment on the finish.
Wyatt's interrupt to get Brock, and Roman pins Dean.
Yeah. That's all I think's going to happen. Wyatts are going to pull Brock out of the ring and start beating the crap out of him and lay him flat out somewhere. Roman's going to Superman punch Dean. Dean's going to go down. Roman will pin. That's it. Roman's number 1 contendership. He points at the WrestleMania sign like the Royal Rumble style. We go home. That's it. And then Brock and Paul come out on Raw, and Paul cuts a promo about how, who do the Wyatts think they are? Who do they think they're messing with? And all that good stuff.
Are you not sports entertained?
So, yeah, so is there anywhere else we can go with that?
No, not really, because I think everyone will share the same sentiment about that.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most predictable match we'll see.
And I've seen pictures about it. Dean's obviously going to be the one to get pinned.
Well, he's obviously the weakest link. Ain't no way you can pin Brock. He's John Cena status because he's a part-timer. Roman is, John Cena status because he's meant to be the number one guy. Dean is the weakest link here. So, we expect that to happen, which leads us to the road to WrestleMania. So, at this point, we expect the main event of WrestleMania to be Roman versus Triple H. And again, another easy main event we expect to be predictable. Roman goes against Triple H. Roman Superman punches Triple H, pins, gets the title at WrestleMania moment in Cowboy Stadium. Bada bing, bada boom, done. So, but what else at WrestleMania are we wanting to see?
A surprise visit of Hulk Hogan.
What I want to see, but given the situation we're in now, I don't even think they have enough time. I wanted to see Undertaker versus Sting. I've been wanting to see that for a very long time, but given the fact that Sting just had to have neck surgery, I think, and Undertaker's been out for a while, I feel like it's a match everybody really wants to see, especially because it looks like Undertaker's literally just getting to the point where he's going to retire soon, either this year or next year.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I expect Undertaker versus Sting. I honestly think that for Undertaker versus Sting, it should be a second to last match, which is what I think should have been here. I think Sting should have wrestled Undertaker, lost, retired, bada bing, bada boom. Sting has a career. And then the next year, Taker takes on John Cena, loses, retires. That's it. And I think that should be how it is because John Cena technically was, he picked up the load just like Undertaker, Rock, and Stone Cold. So at that point, that's the best passing of the torch he can get because he probably won't get it from Stone Cold since he's injured. So
I guess a lot of people just don't know where to really take it. They feel like if they do it with Sting, it's just two legends letting go. They thought if they did it with the Wyatt, it would be like passing the torch on to Bray Wyatt.
Well, we thought Wyatt was going to win.
Exactly.
We thought that's what it should have been because, in my opinion, Wyatt is a lot like a Ministry of Darkness Taker meets early Mankind Foley. Had that, he was insane, but Bray Wyatt's also kind of cunning like Ministry of Darkness Taker, which I like. So we expected him to beat Taker. I did like the way the match played out in some bits, like when Wyatt was doing his upside down spider crawl. And then Undertaker sits up and just looks at Wyatt, and Wyatt's looking all freaked out, and Taker just looks like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah.
That was great. That was funny.
Though that match was unfortunately shorter than they wanted it to.
Yeah, it could have gone. It should have gone on for longer, but.
But given like how close we are to WrestleMania, do you feel like they can still do something with Undertaker at this point?
I think if they do, it'll be Braun Strowman.
Yeah, they're talking about how after this. He's going to fight Braun Strowman, and then Braun Strowman's going to get this huge push, and I don't like it.
But does anybody want to see that?
Well, do I want to see it? No, but what else do we got? There were reports that Cena was going to take on Taker, because like they never put Cena versus Taker because they knew either Cena loses or Taker ends the streak. So you have to think, which legend are you putting over? Yeah. So... granted, I think Cena taking the streak would have been better than Brock, because as much as we don't like Cena, I could respect Cena a bit more taking on Taker. Brock I don't like because he really is not, he's not a company guy. Brock is not a company guy. You look at his contract, he is paid per appearance. He's paid per appearance. He doesn't get to know the other wrestlers. He doesn't really get a locker room chemistry. He clocks in, clocks out, gets his money, that's it. He's not a company guy, and I don't like that. You look at these other guys, they have contracts. They show up on Raw every week. They show up at pay-per-views. They play out their contract. So I don't like that Brock, who's not a company, it just seems so disrespectful.
It just seems to me that the best situation they had was with the end of the era match. I thought that's where everybody thought the streak would end. That's where everybody wanted the streak to end. It just made sense, but... to me, like, to have Triple H end it at Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels, with three guys that were such a huge part of the Attitude Era, it seems like if you want to end an era, that's how you do it, but...
Technically, I wish that end of an era match could have happened like the way it should have, but it couldn't because of obvious reasons. Like, if we were gonna have an end of an era match, it should have had Taker, Triple H, and Shawn, of course, but also should have had Stone Cold and Rock. You know, because these were the 5 pillars of the Attitude Era. You know, Shawn and Triple H were the kings of DX, but also kind of got their own little solo runs. You know, Stone Cold is Stone Cold, the champion of the Attitude Era. Rock was the co-star, and then Undertaker was like the backbone. You know, he still also held everything together because of his Ministry of Darkness gimmick. And like, if it had been like Stone Cold pinning Undertaker, like, you know, that'd have been fine. You know, I'd have been fine with that. But of course, Stone Cold got injured, so that couldn't happen. So like, at this point, I would love to see Undertaker with Sting, but Sting's injured because he probably overdid himself against Seth. So
I just feel like nothing will satisfy me up until this point if it's not Sting and Undertaker.
I mean, you have to admit, it may never happen. I don't think we ever got Hogan versus Flair in WWE.
No, we got in TNA, but...
And in WCW, yeah. You know. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really... I just expect the Strowman versus Taker match to be a placeholder. Which is a shame that this all happened because, like, they've been building up this to be the biggest WrestleMania because they're having it in Cowboy Stadium, which has well over 100,000 worth of seating. You know, so it's supposed to beat the original record that WrestleMania 3 recorded, which was like 93 or 97,000, I think. So with Cowboy Stadium having like 100,000 seating as is, and then being able to bump that up with ringside seating, and then which will balance out because they normally take away some seating to set up the stage. You know, so like, is it supposed to be like the biggest? But it really feels like it's going to be lackluster. You know, because like the main event's Triple H versus Roman. Don't really want to see that. Yeah. The Intercontinental title will probably just be Kevin Owens versus Dean, which I'm all for that, but we've already seen Kevin Owens versus Dean, and while I love the two guys, the fact that they had Sami Zayn show up in Royal Rumble, I want to see Zayn versus Owens for the title.
I do too, since he's my favorite NXT star.
Yeah.
Given what happened to the Usos on Raw, do you feel we're going to have anything with the Tag Team Championships at WrestleMania?
A pre-show.
Probably. Either pre-show or it's just going to be a big, like, 4-way again.
I can't wait to see New Day's entrance at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be like New Day versus Usos versus Lucha Dragons versus Dudleys.
Be nice if that was a TLC match.
I mean, it could be. That would be great.
When was the last time we had a Tables, Ladders, and Chair match at WrestleMania?
WrestleMania? Yeah. TLC? I don't know. I mean, I know the ladder match was a thing, but like, I don't think we've had a serious TLC match in a while. At WrestleMania.
When was the last time? I can't even remember.
I have no idea.
Money in the Bank kind of took over for that.
Technically, any ladder match could be a TLC match.
Yeah.
Because, like, I hate the TLC match. It's like, to be honest, any ladder match could be TLC. You just get tables and chairs out from under the mat, and there you go. It's already TLC. So, like, I don't know. But, so,
what else do we want to see?
Let's see. I think the United States Championship should be a pre-show match because it really seems like it's going nowhere.
Who's champ right now? To be honest, I don't even.
Kalisto.
See, that's how forgettable that championship is now.
But it's forgettable because they're not doing what John Cena did with it. John Cena made it an open challenge where he was putting it on the line every week at Raw. That should be the United States Championship rules. It basically needs to be the WWE World Heavyweight Television Championship because it's basically Tier 3 or Tier 4, depending on what tier you put the Tag Team Championships in. And it needs to be on the line every week at Raw.
Considering how much that was built up with the whole Rusev storyline with John Cena at last year's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I can't even know who's champion.
Yeah, I mean, like, they built that up so much because, you know, John Cena, he came out to... I think John Cena actually came out to relatively standard entrance that year. Yeah. But then Rusev comes out with a tank and, like, freaking Russian military.
It was so overkill.
Like, that was amazing, though. I was like, as much crap as we give for these extended entrances and stuff like that, I just loved seeing Rusev on a tank. Like, that was amazing. So, like, I'm all for stuff like that, but now what happens? Do they just put, like, sombreros on the ring posts?
Wow.
I mean, I hate to...
Sombreros on the ring posts. I want to see that.
Well, I mean, it's like, what are you gonna do?
But that makes the United States Championship fun. It's just so boring watching Alberto Del Rio get this championship and not do anything with it.
I want to see sombreros on them posts.
I mean, and it's like, you know... I mean, it's like, what could they do? Alberto Del Rio will probably have the title during WrestleMania, so it's like, you know, who are they gonna put him up against? I feel like it's gonna be a pre-show match, so it's not gonna have that much build-up. There's not gonna be
like,
any
remember
fancy
when
entrances.
Dean was like United States Championship for like the longest time, and like he didn't even defend it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, well, think of Nikki. It was the same deal. Though I think people said that she defended her championship more than AJ Lee did, but even then, most of her finishes were crap.
Yeah.
Like, the difference is, at least AJ Lee didn't have Twin Magic, which always pissed me off. Like, Twin Magic pisses me off so much, because like it's a win-win situation for Nikki, because if she can, because either Brie comes up, hurts the opponent, so Nikki gets an easy win, or the opponent attacks Nikki or attacks Brie, and then when they pin Brie, it's revealed that it's not. So instead, it's a DQ, like what they did with Charlotte.
That was so stupid.
Charlotte finally turned Twin Magic against her, to where Nikki pinned Brie, but because Brie revealed that she was Brie, they DQ'd her. So then they gave the title back to Nikki so she could retain the longest Divas champ thing. But then, of course, Steph made it to where the pay-per-view after, no matter what happened, if it basically it was like DQs and countouts will change hands.
So giving about that was you knew they just wanted to keep it so they could just screw AJ Lee, but
yeah,
that was the most annoying thing about it. I mean, it's just like, it is what it is. She left the company, but do you really want in your history books to read Nikki Bella as the longest reigning Divas champion?
Well, I mean, why would that matter? I mean, who's the longest reigning Intercontinental champion?
Isn't it Jericho?
Huh?
I thought it was the Honky Tonk Man.
You're right. No, it's not Jericho. Jericho has the most Intercontinental title reigns, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I might have to look that up, but I do remember that Honky Tonk Man is the longest reigning Intercontinental title holder, and that's dumb.
Wasn't MVP the longest reigning United States champion until like Dean took it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Let me check that.
But regardless, it's just WrestleMania's card seems like it'll probably be underwhelming, and there's really nothing we can do to improve it because like the people we would want to show up are injured. John Cena's probably still going to be recovering from his shoulder injury. Orton's probably going to be recovering too. And then Seth probably won't return until maybe SummerSlam. So it's like, I don't know. At this point, all we know is that Roman's gonna win the title, and that's it. Unless they bring back some legends. Like I wanted to see Rock, maybe do something, just not against Triple H. But like it's like, who could they bring back? Mick Foley can't wrestle anymore. Stone Cold can't wrestle anymore. Like, I mean, I guess they could bring back the Hardys, but we don't need a tag team.
Oh, it's Lex Luger.
Lex Luger?
Yeah, he's the longest reigning United States champion.
Oh, okay. Good for Lex Luger. But, like, it's like, there's really no one they could bring back.
I feel like that would be good for, like, a pop or at least something. Because really, it just seems like this WrestleMania, there's nothing really to look forward to.
Honestly, I would just rather put it like this. Basically, all titles are on the line, everyone's an open challenge, and I just bring out NXT guys. I mean, because, like, I know you say that, but, like, besides the World Heavyweight title, I would love to see Dean walk out there and put his title on the line.
Like, name one match you really want to see at WrestleMania that's going on, that you know is going on.
The one match I want to see?
Like, is there anything you really want to see?
Honestly, I want to see Owens versus Zayn for the Intercontinental title. But the only way we'll see that is if they put the title on Owens, which, honestly, I don't know when we could see that. Maybe Dean could put it on the line on Raw the night after Fastlane, and then, Owens comes out and then beats him for it, and then his Intercontinental title. And then what they could do the next week on Raw is have Owens, brag about having the title and say he's rightfully back where he is and says no one's going to step to him, and then have Zayn come out to challenge him, and then they have a feud. And that's what I want to see. I want to see Zayn versus Owens. I know that's such an old rivalry because like they had a rivalry back in Ring of Honor, and then it came to NXT, and then to see it on that. You know, I mean, I guess that's true. You know, but like it's like Roddy and Hogan. You know, as long as it's done right, you know, you want to see that. It's like Stone Cold and Rock. You know, when it's done right, you want to see that. So to me, seeing Zayn versus Kevin for the Intercontinental title would be fine, and I would be fine if Owens won. Technically, I think he should win. You know, if it's Zayn coming back, but I think that would give Zayn ever more reason to get stronger and then get the title later on. You know.
Do you think there's any possibility that Seth could return at WrestleMania?
No.
At all?
No. Not unless like he had a sensory bean. You know.
I mean, that seems like that would be one of the only things, given this WrestleMania, I would really want to see, looking forward to. Besides, maybe them doing something
like Seth comes out, cashes the Money in the Bank. I mean, oh wait,
That was last year.
I mean, like, I would love to see.
People would love that, though. People would love that.
Yeah, I'd love to see Seth return. He's my favorite guy, you know, and it would be entertaining. But the problem is you know, he's injured.
I mean,
so like, I don't know. I would love to see Seth, but I don't expect him to come back to like maybe Money in the Bank. So like,
he didn't win.
Yeah, he
Money
was
in the
winning
Bank.
back.
well, like, Tim, is there anything you want to see at WrestleMania?
I really can't say anything because we still have to wait until after Fastlane. We really don't know what it is because WrestleMania last year their card was filled up so much. You know, we weren't even expecting half the matches there. You know, and they just put it a lot in there. So I really can't say because there's probably going to be matches we probably wouldn't think of because, you know, we might get like a special return within this time or not a return. But
you know,
like,
given the thing they've done with Becky and Sasha, do you think they're going to do like a tag team thing?
Probably. I mean,
that's the hint I'm getting from it.
I mean, what I hope to see is Sasha versus Becky versus Charlotte in a triple threat for the Divas title. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
I'd be all for that. But I don't know if it's going to happen. But Tim, what I was asking is like, do you have like something you want to see? Not what do you think is you're going to see? Like, what do you want to see?
what do I want to see?
Honestly, I want to see the Hardys return to do a tag team match.
No, not for WrestleMania.
Not for WrestleMania.
We have too many tag teams.
Do we really?
Yes, we have Usos, New Day, Lucha Dragons, Dudleys. We also technically have Ascension. We have
Where is the Ascension?
Stardust.
Yeah, they're like at their bottom of the barrel with Star. Oh yeah, Stardust. I forgot about him.
Yes, Stardust.
But like, you know, we technically have the Ascension, and then we have all these guys in NXT. It's like we don't need another tag team. We have so many as. The Los Matadores. You know,
are we doing anything
they're
with
still a thing.
Stardust?
If anything, I think they were supposed to rekindle something with Chris Amell. Or Stephen Amell, not Chris.
Remember, like, last year at WrestleMania, he had, like, the bedazzled, like, ladder.
that was funny. So, what do you want to see?
I really can't really say what I want to see. Dolph Ziggler, another World Champion one.
Well, I mean, I can understand that, but like something like someone from NXT coming up versus someone, or you know,
a surprise visit or like a debut of what's their names? The Vaudevillains. Why can't we?
Why do you guys want tag? We've got so many tag teams. Isn't there any solo guys? I mean, there's
Apollo Crews. I want Apollo Crews. That's so cool.
That's
he's my favorite too.
I do like Apollo
I
Crews.
would like to see Finn Balor come and like do something since AJ Styles was in the Bullet Club and he was also in the Bullet Club. I would like to see a storyline with him and Finn Balor about that. I just don't know how they could write it.
I don't know either. I would love to see Finn Balor come out and wrestle with AJ. I would also love to see Balor come out with a Bullet Club shirt. Even though normally when Balor comes out in pay-per-views, he does the body paint. But I would still rather see Balor come out with the Bullet Club thing. That would be funny. I could see that. But, like, so, yeah. At this point, WrestleMania is just kind of looking shallow.
I've never been this bored with anything going on at WrestleMania.
Yeah, normally there's something good, but like with all the injuries, it's like I mean, like they could be bringing people up, or they just could be booking people better. Like I love Owens, but they need to be booking him for the main event. He's a good heel. I mean, we do have guys like Sheamus, Rusev, and Bad News Barrett, which these guys could be utilized properly, but like they've screwed over Barrett to where he's a joke. Sheamus they booked him badly, so now no one gives a crap about him. And then Rusev suffers the same thing, and all people care about is Lana now. You know? And
I would say, what about the social outcast, but who cares?
You know, the social outcasts make me mad because, like, I care about all those guys individually. Bo is one of my favorite heels, but they've made him so much of a comedy joke that, like, he never gets used for anything.
It's just sad to see that you have a lot of talented guys that could do something well, but they literally just don't know what to do with them.
I thought they were only going to last one night.
It just seems like if you don't know what to do with them, just put them in a stable. That just seems to be what they're...
And it's not doing anything because then most of the guys end up standing on the sidelines doing nothing.
I felt like they were trying to do something similar to what they did with New Days, like maybe put them in a stable, get them to talking, and maybe they'll get over, but...
Well, see, the thing is, I think the New Day knew how to bend the rules without breaking them. Because, like, the New Day, like, they never really said anything that broke the rules of the company, but then, of course, they knew how to use their gimmick. Like... That's why I always thought Bo would be had great chemistry with, like, you know, New Day, because Bo's whole thing is passive-aggressive positivity. You know, he's, like, better than everyone. You know, you just gotta Bo lead. And then New Day was doing that, the power of positivity while being passive-aggressive with it. And I was like, so that's why I love Bo, and that's why I love the New Day. But, like, the New Day got serious. Bo, not so much, and that upsets me. I mean, Bo did hold the NXT title for a whole year.
What did Adam Rose do after they canceled the whole party thing?
He became the party pooper.
He became the party pooper. I mean, you got to remember, at the end of his like party thing, he was going to feud with his rabbit,
the bunny,
which was supposed to be somebody.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I heard we had a friend say that it was probably going to be Kurt Angle because like at the end of the whole thing, he was gonna angle lock Adam Rose and like. But Angle never came. But then they just dropped the whole thing. It's like, oh, come on. They still could have put someone else in there. Like, you know who I would have loved to have seen as the Rabbit? I would have loved to have seen Sami Zayn.
Yeah, he was...
That would have been funny. Like, you know, he finally wrestles the Rabbit, and then, like, you know, the Rabbit comes out, and then, you know, they wrestle or whatever, and then, like, and then say Adam beats the Rabbit. And then say, like, on the Raw after that pay-per-view, say the Rabbit's not done with him or whatever. So then, like, the next thing you know, Adam has matches, and the Rabbit comes and screws things up. And then Adam's like, you want a match? You got it. So the next pay-per-view, Adam comes out, cuts a promo on the Rabbit, and then, like, come out here. And then Sami Zayn's music hits.
Mm.
That would have been great. You see the Rabbit come out, and he's walking like Sami Zayn. He rips the mask off, and it's Zayn, and he holds his arms out and stuff. You know, doing his Sami Zayn thing. That would have been funny.
What's going on with McGillicuddy?
Who?
McGillicuddy.
Oh, Beulah McGillicuddy.
Who?
She's from ECW.
Nope. I know. Who?
McGillicuddy, the guy in Social Outcast.
He's talking about Curtis Axel.
Where is my head? Where is my head?
Why are you saying McGillicuddy?
Because he used that name for a while for some reason.
Yeah, I kept with that. That's what I was accustomed to. Anyway, yeah.
Curtis Axel, he's just there.
That's the thing that annoys me. Curtis Axel has like potential too. I mean, like
he does too.
I mean, it's like Mr. Perfect was a great guy, and like I would love to see him still use like the perfect gimmick, but then like you know what he could do is like he could be like the cocky like commercial guy. Where he's so perfect, like he does things, like he gets like the highest score on Flappy Bird or whatever, like, and then like he could do things like with like alcohol shots or whatever, like he could like take a bunch of shots, throw the cup in the air, and then like they all land stacked on the bar, you know, stuff like that. Like they could have done that with him, had him been like Mr. Perfect Jr., and I think that would have been great. But no, he's just social outcast.
Some people can do good gimmicks. I mean, Cody Rhodes has had some good gimmicks. I love dashing Cody Rhodes. I love the Doom gimmick they had for a little bit.
broken nose Cody Rhodes.
Then he had the mustache Cody Rhodes, and
I thought the mustache Cody Rhodes was the dashing Cody Rhodes.
no, mustache Cody Rhodes came after dashing Cody.
That is
Rhodes.
an actual mustache.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
The joke was that he couldn't grow it, so he rolled with it thinking it was great looking, but it really wasn't.
And now we have Stardust.
Who people want to end because like it's going nowhere. It's like I think it could go places. He's just not really getting booked for it.
I'm just like, Stardust seems like such a character you could do a lot with. It's different. It's weird. It reminds me a lot of the Joker from Batman Forever.
Oh, I was just gonna say it reminds me of Goldust in his prime.
That too.
You know, I mean, Stardust, Goldust, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So he just does his Stardust thing like Goldust did. I mean, Goldust did a lot of things. Stardust could do the same thing, but
So we've gone through, I think, all of the social outcasts except for Heath Slater.
who cares? I don't even get it. Like Heath Slater is like nothing appealing to me. Like to the point that they've made him such a jobber. I think he needs to ask for his release, go somewhere else, go to Ring of Honor, go to Indies.
Remember
go
when
to Indies? I don't care.
Remember when I told you, like, Daniel Bryan was the only person from the original Nexus to be world champion?
Yeah.
What has any of the rest of them gone on to do, besides Ryback?
Oh, I was going to say, because Ryback technically was supposed to be world champion, because they enveloped him with a feud with Cena and CM Punk, but unfortunately went nowhere.
Let's see, we had Justin Gabriel. Did he go on to do anything?
Unfortunately, no.
What's the other black guy that was in it?
Wasn't the guy, the black guys in I'm trying to think.
It wasn't Titus O'Neil, was it?
I don't think it was Titus.
I don't think it was Titus
Wasn't
O'Neil.
Byron Saxton in the Nexus?
No.
No. Darren Young was.
Look where he is.
Yeah. Who else was in Nexus?
Well, there's always Wade Barrett, who technically was going places.
He was.
He got the Intercontinental title, then got injured. Came back, got the Intercontinental title, and then suddenly he just dropped to the bottom. That's why I think people have been saying, like, they swear he pissed someone off. Someone up at the top is mad with Barrett, and we don't know why.
Considering the way that group was put out, I thought it was going to go places.
Well, in my opinion, when I look back, it looked like it was supposed to be the next generation of the WWE. You know, Barrett was probably going to be like the next Triple H or Orton or whatever you want to call it. You know, Daniel Bryan looked like he would have became the next John Cena. You know, especially with him saying, "You are not better than me," and kick, you know, or slap. I don't remember what he did, but like, you know, stuff like that. It's like, you know, they could have gone places, but I think a lot of them just ended up getting squandered in the long run. It was a shame.
It was a shame. I'm just glad to see that since then NXT has gone so much better.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get another Nexus one day,
Hopefully.
and it'll end good. You know,
Yeah.
because I think the problem I have with the WWE is that like they have too much pride, which is why Sting doesn't. You know, Sting's in the WWE, but I mean he lost to Triple H. And when he wrestles Undertaker, if he wrestles Undertaker, he's gonna lose to Undertaker, you know.
Yeah.
And then, and as far as I know, Sting's only win was a DQ. So like, I don't know. As far as WWE goes, they're never gonna let anything happen to the main roster. Like you put an NXT talents against Titus O'Neil or Heath Slater for Pete's sake, and Slater will probably still win.
So, do you feel like the Social Outcasts have any future in WWE at least
No.
at this point?
No.
No, they're already getting stale, and they're already getting badly booked. So eventually they're going to split them up. No one's going to remember the Social Outcasts, and then hopefully Bo goes back to being Bo, and they need to make him legit. You know, maybe, I don't know, put him with the Wyatt family. I don't care.
That would be the weirdest.
That'd be
mix.
so weird.
It would be, but it'll work like Team Hell No. You know, Kane and Daniel, you know, Bo and Wyatt. I mean, technically Bo and Wyatt did actually tag team back in NXT.
Remember when Bryan was in the Wyatt family?
Well, I mean, he had the beard for it.
I mean, that already seemed to fit. It didn't even seem like it was anything weird.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Mika Rotunda is probably going to come up to the main roster as Sister Abigail. Which I'll think is funny if they make her a diva. Because, like, the one thing I want to see, Mika Rotunda as a diva as Sister Abigail, and then Noelle Foley as, like, Womankind.
Now that's gonna be.
I want to see her come out with like a tattered shirt, a leather mask, a smiley face thing or whatever, you know, and with raggedy hair. I mean, yes, Noelle's very pretty and stuff, but like, I want to see her like follow in the footsteps of her dad and be like, and have like the multiple personality thing. You know, I think that would be funny. You know, and you can say, well, it's like a carbon copy of Mick, and it's like, so what? Ted Jr. tried to be like his daddy, you know, and then
that didn't work out too well.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also because at that point when he did it, I mean, every wrestler was making money. I think technically Ted Jr. could come back and do that again, but what they'd have to do is make him like a bit of a corporate kind of guy, like one of those guys who always like runs the show or whatever, like kind of like a corporate businessman, you know, and he lives the high rolling lifestyle. I mean, while everyone technically can, I'd want to see him like be very like boastful about his status, like have a status quo. Like they could probably still make it work and it would still fit. The only thing is Ted Jr. is just not interested in wrestling anymore. So, oh well.
Well, on Raw, we finally saw the Usos get slammed from the table.
Well, Dudley's are back to heel, so
I am so happy for that.
I would love to see them win the titles. If anyone were to take titles from the New Day at this point, I'd just rather see the Dudleys.
I'm just sad that, like, given how much I used to love the Usos, I cannot stand seeing them on Raw anymore.
Well, they John Cena'd them.
They're so oversaturated now. I'm just so sick of it.
Yeah, they're oversaturated. Their promos are repetitive. The only thing that really made me started really hating the Usos was them acting like their Slammies meant something. Slammies don't mean anything. I could tell you from the way things seemed at the last Slammies, they had to be fixed, rigged or whatever. There should be no way the Usos won Tag Team of the Year, you know, or anything. And you can say, well, people voted for the Usos. Then you want to tell why? Because they're a face. Well, how come Seth won Superstar of the Year?
How did New Day not win? I don't understand.
I think it's because they're fixed. That's how I think it is. New Day deserve those Slammies. And so the fact that like the Usos were acting like they were legitimate like titles, that was starting to piss me off. It was like they're Slammies. Who do you think you are, Owen Hart? I mean, seriously, Slammies don't mean anything.
I was mad when Paige didn't win.
Well, yeah, but I feel like they use that more of an excuse to do the Steve Harvey joke.
Speaking of the thing with R-Truth, I've noticed this repetitively. Are they gonna stick with this gimmick?
I think so.
Because it's kind of been funny. I like the ladder thing at the Royal Rumble. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. When they do it like that, it's fine. What I thought was stupid was him coming to the ring after the Raw after the Slammies and then talking about winning a Slammy, and then Miz had to remind him he presented one. I'm like, okay, that's way too stupid.
That's pushing it.
You can't. I mean, I love R-Truth. There's no way he's that stupid. You know, and I'm fine with R-Truth being fun. Like, I loved R. Ziggler.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
R. Ziggler was great. And I love the commentary because they were sitting there like, you can't tell the difference. And like, I think they just kept like going back and forth. Like, what do you mean you can't tell the difference? It's like, well, you know, how can you tell the difference between like, you know, Dolph Ziggler and his stunt double? You know, it's R. Ziggler. It's R-Truth. You know, I thought that was great. So I don't mind if they do comedy stuff with R-Truth. I just don't want them to like overdo it like they did.
Are they trying to do something with him and Goldust?
I think that's what they're trying to do now.
It seems like the thing with Booker T, and it's just...
Yeah, I think that's really what's happened now, is that Goldust is now centered on R-Truth, like Booker T. So I think that's a sign Goldust needs to retire.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Goldust, but even at this point, it seems like he's kind of running out of gas in the tank. But it's Goldust. So,
Anybody else have any thoughts?
Nah.
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much said what we need to, poured out our feelings. You know, WrestleMania is probably gonna suck, but we'll watch it anyway. Hopefully they pull something in between.
Do something good, Vince.
Triple H, give us something good.
Like, I don't care if it's people coming from NXT. I don't care if it's someone returning. Give me one good thing about this WrestleMania.
Give me a reason to watch.
I don't know. Steal someone from New Japan. I mean, jeez.
I mean, if it's a really boring, I will rate this the worst WrestleMania. Well, I can't rate it the worst.
I won't rate it the worst because as long as WrestleMania 9 exists,
I feel like WrestleMania can even be bad, but if you have one thing that you can say you liked about it, it makes up for it.
Yeah. Oh well. So in the meantime, we're just gonna salute off for here. So let's hope everyone enjoys WrestleMania. Oh, and Fastlane. Hope you enjoy that too. So good night, everybody.
Good night.
Stay sports entertained.